I'd like to welcome everybody to Richardson's Trading Post, where the jewelry and rugs are priceless, the stories are free, and I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing here. As you probably noticed, I have a Arbuckle roasted coffee box next to me. Visiting with my grandfather, he had told me that Arbuckles Coffee was one of the staples that they used out on the Navajo Nation and traded for with the Navajos and Hopi. Just figured this would be a nice little touch so that people could see it and kind of get a little history about Arbuckles Coffee. I think it was a big deal because it was one of the only coffee makers that would actually supply coffee to the far reaches of the Navajo Nation. And luckily for the traders, they were able to get it. And my understanding is a lot of it started out in Flagstaff. So it would be delivered to different establishments in Flagstaff, and then the traders would come from their different posts and pick it up and take it back, and were able to trade with the Navajos for some of their wares, and the Navajos were able to get coffee. The family at one time had 15 to 18 different posts out on the Navajo Nation. Now they had a, I'm trying to remember, the train at one time would go to Winslow, Arizona. And they actually had a warehouse in Winslow that they were actually able to store their wares that were coming in off the train. So in terms of getting it to Winslow, it was just a matter of it being shipped from back east to Winslow, so that could be a couple of days. But in terms of getting it out to the different establishments or trading posts out on the Navajo Nation, it could take anywhere from a couple of days up to a week, just depending on the location on where they were taking it. I think it would have been considered a name brand at that time, just for the fact that they were able to get it shipped to the different areas. And at the time, there wasn't really a Folgers around. This was kind of the brand that people used and recognized and people wanted out on the nation. It was a staple for the traders and also a staple for the Navajos out on the reservation. And the reason I say that is people socialized and they used the coffee as they sat around the table. It wasn't just a morning drink, it was something that they used during the day, that they drank at night. It was just a mechanism that they were able to use to socialize with people. If you notice, the box is wooden. And they were able to utilize the box as storage for other wares. They were able to utilize the wood if they wanted to take it apart and utilize it for repairs and stuff around the trading post. And if nothing else, it made a nice decoration that people could use as a way to advertise what they had at the trading post and let people know, and the Navajo people know, that it was available. We're sitting here talking about the Arbuckle box. I can remember my grandfather, anytime he heard we were going out of town or going to Arizona or traveling somewhere, his last words to us were, if you see an Arbuckle box, pick it up. Buy it, I'll pay you back, but I want the Arbuckle box. And I think that was a way for him to remember what it was like growing out on the Navajo Nation and having to work out there as a kid. And that was one of the memories that he had to have, he wanted to have. So we always bought him an Arbuckle box if we saw him traveling around traveling. They would transport him by train. And I think those were the locations that they were either stored or made, or just the warehouse to go ahead and get them loaded up so they could go to the different sections of the United States. The train itself, well, just to kind of give you a little history, Gallup was named after the train master who had a last name of Gallup. And so when people were working or they needed to go get paid, they would basically say, let's go to Gallup. because that was the person who was going to pay them. Gallup was established in 1881, and it was a central location where people who worked for the Pacific and Atlantic Railroad would come to get paid. And the paymaster was named David Gallup, and for some reason the name just stuck. A lot of times when people would go to the trading post, it was to trade. That's where you got the name. People would bring in their textiles or their jewelry, and they would pick up something like Arbuckles Coffee. They would get canned peaches. They would get supplies that they needed out on, basically out in the wilderness, out where they lived, out on the Navajo Nation. This is kind of funny, but canned peaches, that was, one of the ways, if you had a sweet tooth, it kind of helped satisfy the sweet tooth. You had the syrup, which you could separate from the peaches, and essentially use the syrup as a drink to get that sweet tooth taken care of, and then you had the peaches itself that just added to it. So it was a way for people to satisfy their sweet tooth, and it stored well because it was canned, and they were able to carry and store it once they got it from the trading post, and it lasted for them for some time. Oh, after my grandfather died and after my mom passed, we were going through the buildings. We have 6 different buildings, and a few of the buildings actually have basements. So as we were going through trying to clean up and see exactly what we had here, we found numerous Arbuckle coffee boxes. We have one here that I've kind of described to you. I have a couple others that we're using as decorations to my left. And I have another one in my office that I have a few rugs stacked up on. So we were able to get him a little collection of Arbuckle coffee boxes, and we're still utilizing them today as decorations and props for the store itself. I would say we probably have 6 to 8 Arbuckle boxes here in Richardson's. We've had people come into Richardson's before and see the Arbuckle box, and it reminds them of the same thing that it reminded my grandfather of, a time when they were growing up and the family used Arbuckle Coffee. And we've had people come in and offer us a couple $100 and say, I'd really like to buy it. And as I tell people when they come in, we're in the selling business as opposed to the collection business, but those are a couple of pieces that I don't let go just for the fact that they were so important to my grandfather. Oh, just to kind of estimate, I would probably say late 40s, early 50s. And the reason I say that is just because it's in such good condition. The older boxes, just based on time and how long ago they were actually used, seem to be a little older, but this one is in actually really good shape. So I would say that it's probably 40s, 50s, if not maybe a little bit earlier. No, like I had said, I just to kind of follow up, it was funny. At the time when my grandfather would say, if you see an Arbuckle box while you're traveling around, pick it up. Didn't really understand at the time the significance it had for him. But, as I got older and he was able to speak to me about them, he basically just said it was a way to remember him growing up out on the Navajo Nation. Is this going okay?
Oh yeah, this is great.
Okay.